We can all think of people in our lives that we want to help change. And I guess in what I just said is part of the problem, because we want to intervene in their lives and create change for them. But we sometimes watch them self-sabotaging and then telling us they have this goal, they want to be this or that or the other. But then their behavior continues to follow a similar pattern where they continue to self-sabotage. And as bystanders, sometimes we try and intervene, we try and help them in various ways. I'll pay for your therapist, I'll take care of your gym membership, whatever. What should we be doing as bystanders of someone who's saying they want to change, but is showing no sign of doing anything about it?
Great question. So what we should do is not be bystanders, but also not quite pay for therapy. So this is something that's very important. So I once had a very brilliant teacher at Massachusetts General Hospital who told me that as a doctor, you should never go the extra mile for a patient. And then I was kind of confused by that, right? Because I was taught that, oh my God, like as a doctor, you should sacrifice. You need to go the extra mile. And he said, the extra mile is a mile too far. So anything that someone can do for themselves, you should not do for them. So what I sort of really found is that, there's a really interesting case of a patient that I had that was a child with HIV. So this was when HIV was first discovered. They got diagnosed as an infant. So they had perinatal HIV exposure. And so this was when we were really discovering HIV. And so everyone bent over backwards for this kid because this is a 7-year-old kid with HIV. So if they ever did anything wrong, it's not their fault. The kid has HIV. They'd come late to appointments. They wouldn't do their homework. Oh, there's always people bending over backwards to help this person, help this person, help this person. So I was this person's doctor when they were in their late 20s. And I was stunned by how incapable they are. They can't do even the most basic things like fill out an application for a particular thing that they needed. They needed the nursing staff to sit with them and fill out the application. Because what we had done is engendered some degree of helplessness by doing everything for them. So the biggest mistake that a lot of parents make is that they accept responsibility for their kids. And if we love someone who has an addiction, we want to protect them from the consequences of that addiction. So we actually step up and we do more. The problem is that the moment that you start doing more, they will start doing less. So if you look at something as simple as, let's say you've got a roommate and there's dishes in the sink. The more you take responsibility for the dishes, what is your roommate going to do? They're going to do them less. The same is true. So what I sort of find is that because we're so afraid, oh my God, like if I don't help them with this, if I don't pay for your therapy, then you're going to be fucked. You're so afraid. And so who's taking responsibility for it? You are. Let them ask you to pay. Let them come to you and say, you know what? I really want to conquer this. I found someone, but I can't afford it. Will you help me? The outcomes that you see will be drastically different. In my own practice, sometimes I charge a lot of money. And what I have found, 70% of my practice at one point was free. What I found is the number of people who no-show for their appointments, which I'm giving them a big break, the more of a break I give them, and if they're free, they show up the least. If someone has skin in the game, they will actually do it. So my patients who are actually paying for my services, they're the ones who always show up. So what we want to do is we want to start by asking these people, hey, tell me how you feel about your addiction, or not addiction. Just tell me what's going on with your gaming, right? Like, how do you feel about your life? Like, help me understand what's going on with you. Start by just understanding the person. And if you do that, everyone has ambivalence. That means internal conflict. There's a part of them that wants to quit, and there's a part of them that doesn't want to quit. The problem is that anytime we see a flash of them wanting to get better, what do? We're like, yay, let's do it. And then what happens? We get that resistance from them. So if I come to you, Stephen, I'm like, hey man, I'm thinking about going to the gym. What do you say?